Hello, good morning, everybody. I am really excited to be speaking with all of you here today about reshaping customer and employee experiences with Anthropic and Amazon Q. I should probably get the clicker. I am Scott from Anthropic. I'm going to be kicking things off today to tell you a little bit about Anthropic and our collaboration with Amazon, and more specifically Q and Connect and Q Business. After I give you a little bit of background on that, I'm going to hand it off to Jack, Principal Product Manager Lead at Q and Connect. He's going to talk about how they are building together with Claude, and then finally Sai, Principal Product Manager Lead on Q Business, who is going to be talking about their collaboration at Q Business with Anthropic as well. But before I go into a little bit of background on Anthropic, our collaboration with Amazon, I just want to take a step back and tell all of you here today why I'm so excited to be on this stage. I'm really excited about where we're going in this collaboration with Amazon. And it's not just about how we are building AI together. It's how we are providing the foundation for each and every business in this room to thrive in the AI era. All right, so now that I've told you why I'm so excited to be here, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it's like to have been at Anthropic. We were founded in 2021 with 7 of our founders coming over from OpenAI. We are known for creating some of the world's most intelligent foundational models while raising the bar for safety standards in the industry and transforming businesses with generative AI. But when things have gotten really interesting, we're in March 2023. It has been a wild 18 months here at Anthropic. Back in March 2023, we launched Claude 1, and then we launched Claude 2, Claude 3, Claude Sonnet 3.5, and most recently in October, a breakthrough in computer use that was launched. Over the past year, we've made some really important hires, hiring Mike Krieger, Chief Product Officer, who came over from originally he was a co-founder of Instagram, which has been incredible for us. We also hired 3 executives from OpenAI, 2 of which were founders there. When you're looking to build with a foundational LLM partner, you're probably looking for 2 things. You're looking for velocity of shipping products, and secondly, you're looking for a company that can both attract and, most importantly, retain top talent. And Anthropic has done these 2 things better than any other LLM foundational provider over the past year. This has led to some really exciting success, and you can see this on the graphic back here. On the y-axis over there is our benchmarks, and on the x-axis, release dates of models. You can take a wild guess as to who LLM1 and LLM2 are, but as you can see, over the past 6 of the last 9 months, we have been the top AI intelligent model that is out there. And this has led to tremendous and very quick commercial success. We are probably at this point one of the 2 or 3 fastest growing startups in human history. Usually when we talk about technology adoption, you're seeing startups that adopt technology pretty quickly. And then we've usually seen it's 2 or 3 years before large enterprises adopt new technology. That has not been the case in AI. As you can see here, Claude is powering Perplexity, arguably the hottest AI startup that is out there right now. But we're also working in highly regulated industries. Healthcare, the Dana-Farber Health Institute, pharmaceuticals, Pfizer, finance, you're seeing Bridgewater on there. And then on the top left-hand side of the screen, SAP, one of the largest enterprises that is out there. So we're seeing a very different rate of technology adoption really across all different verticals, sizes of companies. And beyond all of the AI hype that is out there, there is real traction that is happening very quickly, and Claude is powering that. Now I want to talk about Anthropic and Amazon and this collaboration we have together. 3 main things here: chips, safety, and ultimately investment. When we talk about chips, that's really at the heart of this partnership. At Anthropic, we really looked all over the world for the best company that we could build together with chips, and we found Amazon to be amongst that. We are really, really excited about Trainium, and we are making a massive bet on it. Second is safety. Not only are we aligned with Amazon on things like security and data privacy when it comes to safety and AI, but if we take a step back, we're working together to build some of the most powerful technology in human history that's out there, and we feel like we have someone in Amazon who is aligned with us in just making sure this is done in a safe way for humanity at large. And finally, $8 billion is very helpful in making all of this happen. None of this can happen without that. I'm sure many of you saw the announcement, but just a week or two ago, Amazon announced $4 billion in addition to their first $4 billion investment in us to bring that to $8 billion. And we are also announcing AWS as Anthropic's primary training partner and cloud provider. That makes all of this possible as well. And speaking of investment, what Amazon is doing to invest right now in the carbon-free nuclear energy space is nothing short of remarkable. Just in October, they signed 3 new agreements to spur the development of nuclear energy projects that include the enabling of construction of several new small modular reactors. What I mean this all to say is we're building very big with Amazon, and 2025 is the year we collaborate to get to the biggest AI deployments in the industry. Now, more specifically, let's talk about Amazon Bedrock. I think a really helpful analogy that I think about here is how AWS led the transition from on-prem in the previous area to cloud, right? There was 3 things. 1, moving to the cloud, you got better efficiency because you were only paying for what you used. You got better security, and you got a layer of tooling that made this all pretty easy to transition and move. Bedrock is doing exactly what AWS did in the cloud space for moving providers from open source models on-site to using Amazon Bedrock on Anthropic. Right now, with multi-tenant, you only pay for what you use, you get a layer of security, and you get a layer of tooling. So with Bedrock, you have this infrastructure. With Anthropic and Claude, you've got a top-tier LLM world-class model, and together, that creates a truly one-of-a-kind collaboration. One of the things that's amazing about working with Amazon is it's not just a cloud collaboration with them, but it's product collaboration as well. They're walking the walk. They're one of the largest enterprise we are working with, but they are moving faster in a more agile manner than anyone we've seen, which is really impressive for a company of their size. We work hand in hand with their teams, and 2 of the teams that I'm really excited to introduce you today that we've been working hand in hand with have been Q Connect and Q Business. So I'm going to hand it off right now to Jack Hutton to talk about Q Connect and how we are building together with them. Welcome on stage, Jack.
All right, so let's start with Amazon Q. Amazon Q is AWS's out-of-the-box generative AI assistant for your enterprise. And it can help all different personas across your enterprise, from knowledge workers who need answers to questions or analysis, as well as developers who need help some coding and coding more effectively. But also, it can help for customer service. And speaking of customer service, most of us here know that a great customer experience can really drive business outcomes. In particular, 83% of consumers say that a great experience can really earn their loyalty to a company. But what drives a great customer experience? There are many facets to that, but the number 1 predictor of a great experience is that ability to have your issue solved when it happens. First contact resolutions, which is a very tough challenge because customers always crave more. And that's a mentality we've embraced at Amazon. We always are constantly striving, customer obsessed, to improve experiences every step of the way, whether it's in retail, introducing 2-day shipping to same-day shipping, or just walk out to help streamline that retail experience. We're constantly striving to help solve customer challenges quicker, more effectively every step of the way. But what better place to do that than the contact center? The contact center is the nexus of your whole customer engagement, and all the information that passes through it really talks about your relationship with your customers. And often, they really do need complex issues solved in very stressful situations. And so for decades, we've streamlined our contact center operations with a deep technology stack. In 2017, we decided to release it as an AWS service called Amazon Connect that is one single application for customer engagement with a seamless experience for all of our users. And since then, we've scaled to support over 10,000 corporate customers on Connect, handling a total of 10 million plus contacts per day. And still, we use this internally for the 100,000 plus associates that work in Amazon's contact centers. And so with Amazon Connect, it is a full suite of customer engagement offerings that range from proactive outbound campaigns to analytics for supervisors to help streamline and improve your customer engagement operations. And every single step of the way and every capability, we're constantly thinking about how to integrate AI natively. And this ranges from traditional NLU as well as to Gen AI. And in particular, with Q and the advent of that, we thought about where is the best place to bring Q into customer engagement. And we started off thinking that bringing Q into Connect would best serve agent assistance and end customer self-service. The reason being that these are the moments of live interactions where customers want speedy resolutions the moment issues come up. And so with Q and Connect, we released it 1 year ago, starting with agent assistance. Q is able to proactively surface recommendations and answers to agents to help them streamline their engagement with a customer and resolve issues accurately and swiftly. And as of 2 days ago, we've released the same Q capabilities to end customer self-service. Now you can put Q in front of an end customer, either on a phone call or a chat, and Q will also now be able to provide that guidance and recommendations to help solve an issue with a customer the moment it happens. Now, Q is off the shelf, out of the box. You can point your knowledge articles to it, it will work. But we've also opened up Q and Connect for customizations. You're able to update the AI prompts that go to the LM, in this case, Claude V3, in order to control the behavior of how Q responds and what it can recommend. And additionally, as of this week, you can now add additional AI guardrails to really safeguard your experience. Now, taking one step back before we dive into each of these three buckets, I want to talk about the overall types of use cases that customer service engagements include. And our mental model at Connect is that we have very highly structured workflows ranging all the way down to highly fluid use cases. So for example, a structured workflow might be a password reset, very predefined, very repetitive. But something more mixed might be determining what's the right refund for a customer. What are they qualified for? What would help their general customer engagement? And lastly, there's a more highly fluid examples where the solution might be vague of what the troubleshooting and the issue is, as well as what recommendation is the best to serve. And so with Connect, we support all these different use cases. In fact, we have reference customers for every single one listed here. But when it comes to Gen AI, we really isolate that to the highly fluid situations. And in particular, taking a step back and looking at the abstract components of these use cases, we can really view it as a couple of 3 points. First is distilling complex issues or vague customer descriptions to distill it down to discrete intents to take action on. Then you also want to reason over a bunch of contextual data about your company, your product line, recent events, in order to provide the most accurate recommendations, and recommendations that are personalized to your customer needs. And so with this in mind, when we deployed Q into Connect, we really thought about how to tackle these more fluid examples for the use cases described before. So now let's look through the Q experience. So Q for Agent Assistance is a chatbot that agents can interact with to ask questions, receive answers, and using a RAG-based knowledge article lookups, as well as using information about the customer to really refine those answers. Those answers have citations and sources, but also next best actions. Now, the example listed here of the action is an ingress to a different third-party app, a map editor to find a particular location. But you also can make these actions just different workflows, forms to fill out to complete transactions. They could be single-page forms or multi-step guides. We made it so that it's a very flexible system for Connect customers to choose what type of actions are needed for their industry, their use cases. Now, while this is a reactive mode where the agent is asking for help, Q is also constantly listening to the conversation, whether it's voice or chat, and it's able to surface proactive recommendations. So when Q detects a recommendation, it will show up a detected intent. The agent can click on it, and from there, the agent will get guidance of either what to do, what to answer, what to say. And this way, it's always there to help as a safeguard to guide agents. And in particular, it really helps guide new agents who might not know certain SOPs or use cases, but it gives them the ability to figure out what to do and streamline that, so they no longer have to try to assemble a solution of 5 from different disparate applications. Now, one key call I want to make here is when we demonstrate Q here, this is the out-of-the-box Connect UI. You also can just inject Q into whatever UI you're choosing for your agent desktop. You can take the widget itself and just embed it, or you can use APIs to reskin your UI. Either way, Q is powering this journey. And likewise, when it comes to powering journeys, you now can power yourself's journeys with Q. You can use the custom label chat widgets, or just a phone call with no UI at all, and then have Q generate the recommendations to your end customers. Now, the canonical use case for most of these self-service AI assistants is Q&A, and now Q can do that too. It'll be able to get those answers, once again, from knowledge articles, from customer data, just anything about your company you can reason over. And it'll have a multi-turn back and forth engagement. So if your end customers need clarification questions answered, Q can respond. But likewise, if Q needs clarification in order to figure out the right recommendation, Q can ask the end customer for more intel and more info before he delivers the personalized response. Now, this is the Q&A. The other use case that Q supports is recommendations. So just like before, where it recommends actions to an agent, Q can also recommend actions to an end customer. And these can take the steps of ingresses to other apps, or it could be simple forms or workflows for the end customer to provide information to complete a transaction. And so with this, we do want to take a little bit step back and kind of circle back to the structured workflows we talked about before. Because in order to deliver these types of actions, we use and connect a workflow system that allows you to really structure any customer engagement end to end. And this is what we launched with Connect. We use this tool, it's no-code, low-code, drag and drop, API support, to orchestrate customer engagements, starting with routing, which queue do you want to route a customer to, as well as creating step-by-step workflows with visual UIs. But what's more, though, is that with this system, you can define automated tasks to execute. Because with here, you can do data dips to different systems of record with API support, and you can therefore retrieve information and also execute automated actions. And so when we take these structured workflows that are part of the Connect system, we now can use Q in the highly fluid scenarios to distill the customer intent to pick what is the most relevant action to automate, and then use the structured safety of this flow system to then go execute it. And so with that, that's our way of doing this sort of mixed approach to these agentic actions to provide the safeguards you need when deploying Gen AI. But the extra safeguard that Flows provides, despite its clear visualization of the workflow, extra analytics we'll show later, you also have the ability to bring a human in the loop at any point. So for example, if the customer has a certain intent that's been distilled to Q, before Q actually goes and execute the action from all the information it's gathered from the customer, you can have Q surface a confirmation page to that end user so they can review everything first before they hit commit. This way, if you're just starting the dabble in Gen AI, it's a way to add an extra safeguard before you fully go and automate an action. But additionally, there just might be some sensitive use cases that you still always want a human confirmation first. Either way, you get that choice of how mixed the structures are of the AI agent just executing everything versus bringing it back to safety of having human in the loop and the safeguards. But also circling back to how this end customer experience relates to the agent experience, there are moments where you do want to escalate to a human agent. And Q can do that. Q's default is that when prompted to escalate to an agent, it will. You can override that, and we'll explain in a moment. But in that notion, when Q does this handoff, it does it with a smooth transition. Q is able to provide a summary of everything it was doing with the end customer thus far, and its sort of recommendations of what to do next, both textually, as well as some screen pop information of the customer's key attributes, but also with a next best action recommendation. And again, this way it allows for the smooth transition for the agent to not have the customer repeat themselves over and over again, and really just take the baton and run with it to provide a fast, speedy resolution the first time that this customer calls in. Now, one call it again. This is our out-of-the-box UI. It's customizable, but again, this whole experience is available through the Q APIs to integrate into your own system. But speaking about these customizations further, the key call out is the way we've opened up Q and Connect to allow for deep, fine-grained control. And it starts at first defining AI agents that are your end-to-end use cases of the behavior you want Q to perform. And here you assign prompts, guardrails, knowledge bases, and extra information for Q to reason over. And you can segment these agents by persona. Maybe some are just for end customers, some are for agent assist, some for both, but also different lines of businesses. We just give you the flexibility to make Q your own and what use cases you need to support. And then additionally, what we've done is we've opened up Q and all the AI prompts for you to modify. And so we reveal our default system prompts, so you can just tinker a little bit if you so choose, or you can just delete and write your own, add examples, and go very deep. And for this feature, we've chosen Claude v3, giving us flexibility and ability to really recommend fine-grained actions with the tool support. So with Q, in the AI prompts, you're able to control the responses and how they should be answered, and also the actions that get selected, both for recommendations as well as just execution via automation. Now, this week, we also added the additional feature of AI guardrails to add that extra safeguard on top of whatever you updated with the prompts. So with AI guardrails, you're able to ban topics, filter language, redact sensitive information like PII, and also do hallucination checks. It gives you that extra safety before you deploy Q to agents for their experience, as well as for end customer self-service. One quick call out, that's our default message that just automatically shows up. With customizations, you can decide what you want to display to the user to give them a more informative reaction of how they should adjust based on the guardrail that was invoked. But what better guardrail is there for this than observability? So with Connect's self-service experience, whether it's traditional NLU or Q, we give you the full analytics reporting of how these bots are performing. You can see how they're doing for different contact types, for different queues, and you're able to cross-compare how you are performing, so you can then decide how to optimize it further. And so here, when you're starting out with Gen AI and figuring out where it's most applicable, you can use these dashboards for extra insights and observing this experience. And additionally, we also give you the fine-grained observability to actually see what Q said during an interaction. This works for both chat and voice, and so, but in particular, you can literally see what Q, or listen to what Q was telling your end customers. This way, you get that extra visibility to safe check what your Gen AI and your contact center is doing. And that's the main reason when we decided to take Q and bring it to customer engagement, we chose Connect as that destination. Because with Connect, it is a system of all these deep integrations for customer engagement, regardless of the AI driving it, that just come for free when you put Q into it, that really lets you safely scale up your operations when deploying Gen AI. As part of that flexibility that Connect provides, we really give you the options to deploy Q to any place in the contact. You can have Q start the call and go all the way to the end. You also can have Q up front decide, OK, I'm going to hand it off to a structured workflow now and just execute it. Or you can do the inverse. You can start with your traditional NLU bot that's working well. And for the use cases that you want that more dynamic structure, plug in Q. The choice is yours, and the system is that flexible. Additionally, the one last call out is maybe you don't use Connect. You already have your own provider for contact center solutions. Well, as of this week, for self-service, you can use Connect just for those IVRs. You can have your traditional voice platform that you use, transfer that voice call to Connect's IVR system, and have it then execute the IVR before you decide to hand it back. And likewise, if you just want to plug Q and into your self-service engagements, you can do that. You don't have to adopt every single thing in Connect. You can just start with IVR first, see how it works, and then go from there. It gives you that full flexibility. So with that, I'm now going to hand off to Sai to introduce Q Business.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Jack. I hope you all are having a fantastic day. I'm Sai Sailata Rudra Butla. I'm from the Amazon Q Business team, and I'm here to talk to you about Amazon Q Business. But before I dive into Amazon Q Business, let's just do a small thought exercise. I want you all to think about how much time you all spend in your day-to-day work life trying to find answers to simple questions like, what's my company's return to office policy? What's my company's travel policy? How many leaves do I have remaining? How many tickets are open that are assigned to me? Then I would like you all to think about how much more time you all spend thinking about completing tasks, such as summarize this meeting notes, or book me a flight, or update an opportunity in Salesforce. Now imagine if that time were cut by half, maybe by 3/4, maybe even more, and thus Amazon Q Business. Amazon Q Business is AWS's generative AI-powered assistant that helps organizations boost employee productivity. Amazon Q Business answers questions, generates content, and can take actions on users' behalf. Amazon Q Business uses a lot of models under the hood. The entire Q suite of product uses multiple models under the hood. Our first-party models or third-party models that are hosted on Amazon Bedrock. Notably, we use the Claude family of models from Anthropic. With Amazon Q Business, you do not need to worry about security and privacy because that is at the heart of building Q Business when we delivered it to our customers. So now let's go deeper into what is Q Business that I've given you a high-level summary. How did we build it? What is a little bit under the hood? So Q Business connects to over 40+ data sources, such as SharePoint and Confluence and intranets and Google Drives and Microsoft Exchange and Asana and Smartsheet, name it all. It connects to about 44 to be very accurate today. And then what we do is when we connect to these data sources, we look at all the data, we crawl the data in the data sources. Along with the data, we crawl the metadata, and more importantly, we crawl the permissions associated to that data and metadata. And then we ingest all of it, we index it in our vector index, in our semantic index for Amazon Q Business. And we make it ready for retrieval when the user query comes in via our chat application. This entire process is months and months of engineering and science investment to get the right combinations of models, to get the right infrastructure choices, and then we spend ongoing effort maintaining this pipeline, upgrading it to the latest and the greatest models to ensure our customers have the latest technology at their fingertips. This is a heavy investment that the Q Business team does and make sure we maintain it on an ongoing basis. Now, once all of this index is created, which you also very well know of as a fully managed retrieval augmented generation pipeline. Once that's created, then an administrator sets up the Q Business application. They connect it to the identity provider of your choice. We allow you to connect it to your own identity providers, such as Okta, or you can use AWS IAM Identity Center. Then we store all of our user groups. We have access control lists that mimic the exact user identities that you have in your identity provider, and the user groups defined in the identity provider mapped to the document permissions that you have provided in the source data. So, like I said, we take security and privacy very seriously, and we invest in all of this to make sure the fully managed RAG pipeline with the index that's powering Q Business respects user access controls. Now, once the administrator sets up that application, next, the application is ready for an end user to use. An employee can access it via the chat interface or various other ways, such as it's embedded into applications such as Asana, Microsoft Teams. You can also use it via a browser extension and embed it into your browsers. And when the user starts querying, then the system under the hood recognizes the user identity, looks into the index, retrieves the relevant documents, the relevant passages, and then gets all of the information that the user has access to, generates an answer, and then gives it to the user. So that, in a very small nutshell, is the under the hood of Amazon Q Business. We take care of all of this for the customers so that you don't have to spend time building the RAG pipeline, building the application, and doing all of these hooks and integrations by yourself. So we are talking about getting a personal assistant for each of your employees within less than 2 weeks. That's the scale and time at which we're talking about. Now, what more do we cover? In Amazon Q Business, primarily we have a lot of unstructured data support. So as you know, all the websites and documents and enterprise content is primarily unstructured. It has a lot of tables embedded, images embedded, etc. So when we support and we ingest all these documents, we not only do the text, we also understand the tables that are embedded in the documents, and then we have the contextual understanding of the table. We save all of that in our index. So when a user is asking questions that require the understanding of tables, we have it already. For example, some questions users could ask would be simple factual lookups, right? What's the population of Brazil? And the next would be another lookup, which is more conditional in nature, like what's the population of Brazil in 2010? Then we have full table comparative lookups like what are the top 5 countries with the largest population? Then we have aggregations like how many countries have populations greater than 1 billion? So there's a lot of analytical analysis that we do on the tables embedded in your documents, so you don't have to do it all by yourself. We support the famous, most popular top document templates, PDFs, Words, Excels, CSVs, HTMLs, etc. And the most important thing is for every response we do give citations and references. And you can get your responses as narratives, lists, tables, you name it. Similarly, on that same topic, we support tables with merge cells. Like we often see in our Excel files and the CSVs, people merge the headings when you want to try to make it very presentable in a document. We understand that, and we take care of hierarchical headers as well. Similar to tables, we observe that many customers embed images in their documents. These are images like bar graphs, image charts, pie charts, infographics, architecture diagrams, flow diagrams. So there's a plethora of images that get embedded into documents. And what we do as Q Business is when we retrieve the content or when we are during our ingestion process, we get a contextual and a semantic understanding of what the image is. We represent it in our index so that most times a user query, if the answer is in the image, we can give it to them. And we observed that when you try to get answers from images that are embedded in documents, the accuracy of the answer is a lot higher. And hence, this had to be done. And we do provide support for like PDFs, Words, PowerPoints, Google Docs, etc. And in the response, the cool thing about this feature is that in the response, not only do we give you an answer in text, we also provide the image from which we generated the answer so that the customer has trust in the answer. Now I spoke a lot about search use cases, right? And I spoke a lot about indexing the data, etc. But we not only support indexing data. Often, we hear from users that they just want to be able to find answers with uploaded files. There's a bunch of files sitting on your desktop, and you want to upload them, and you want to get an answer from them. So we support file upload. Users could easily upload a file to the chat assistant, and you get answers. You can just directly talk to the underlying model and get answers from the LLM because maybe you want to get creative. Then we also provide guardrail support. So many organizations differ from what is safe for one may not be safe for the other. And they want to be able to block responses or block questions that contain certain keywords or phrases. So we have full support for guardrails. And then, like I said earlier, we do respect users' permissions because that is at the heart of it. And we also take the conversation context and the history when generating the answer. So it looks more conversational and it's much more interactive in nature. Next, let's go into, I spoke a lot about unstructured data. Now, you would have observed there was a recent announcement in one of our keynotes which said customers use QuickSight a lot for structured data. There's a lot of data in data warehouses, and then customers build dashboards on top of that structured data. Now, users don't want to index the data again, right? Because it's double the cost. So what we did recently, we announced this, I think it's in preview at reInvent, is Amazon Q Business now also supports answers from your structured content that's already in QuickSight. So you could use the same Q Business chat interface, and you could get answers on that structured data. So that way, in Q Business, we are providing answers from both structured and unstructured data all under the same interface. Now let's move on to actions. Till now, we spoke about search-based use cases, queries, etc. What about actions? Most of your organizations must be using various tools for various needs. Maybe Asana for project management, maybe Zoom for meetings, and maybe Salesforce for CRM, etc. Now imagine when you have to do tasks in each of these different tools. You have to go to the tool, authenticate into the tools, go to that appropriate web page, and then take the action. With Q Business, we now have inbuilt support for up to 54 actions across 11 third-party applications. Our primary applications that we support are Jira Cloud, PagerDuty Advanced Assist, you must have heard of them on Matt's keynote, ServiceNow, Asana, Zendesk, Microsoft Exchange. So we have a plethora of actions across any of these. So the user just goes into the Q Business interface, in the chat interface, types in natural language, create me a ticket with all the above information, that's it. And the system detects that the ticket has to get created in Jira or whichever place, and then we fill out or take all the conversation history, fill out the appropriate form, show the form to the user for confirmation so they can even edit any field that they want within the chat interface, and then we submit it for them. So that way customers can do this across multiple tools, thus it makes people a lot more productive. And it's super simple and easy to set up. It's just a part of the usual setup. And for example, for here, when we do the natural language to understanding the API, we use the Cloud family of models under the hood, in addition to some of our one-party models as well. The last but not the least, right? So think about maybe there's a set of tasks that every member in the team needs to do on a daily basis or a weekly basis. I'll give you an example from my real life. Every week in Amazon, I've been at AWS for 9 years now, and every week I have to create something called a weekly business review. We talk about how the business is performing, we talk about trends about the business, and then we talk about how are we making it better, like what are we doing for our customers to make it better. But it's the same set of tasks on a weekly basis. The meetings happen on a Tuesday, so I have to do the same set on a Monday. Like me, the rest of the product managers in my team have to do it. The rest of the product managers in AWS have to do it. Guess what? Rather than each person going and doing this repeatedly, what if we had a simple, easy way to say, generate me my weekly business review? And I get all the insights, all the data in the format I need, because there's a very specific format we do our WBRs in. There comes Amazon Q Apps. So Amazon Q Apps are lightweight applications that users could build to automate repeatable tasks. Once the application is created, the app creator can test out the application, and once they like it, they can publish it to the app's library in Q Business. And then they can share it with the rest of their team members or employees as well. So that's Amazon Q Apps. Then, like I spoke earlier, that you could put Q Business into your web application. That's a small snippet of how you can see where one of our, just one coffee shop has integrated Q Business into their browser application. And then you'll see the little icon on the right, or you will see it on, up above where you see your extensions. And then you just click on it, and the chat interface opens on the side, and then you just chat with it. And it gets you all the information from the browser. Now let's think about what are the major use cases. Now I've spoken to you a lot about an overview of Q Business, a feature dive deep on search and actions and agentic stuff, etc., and the automation. Now let's see how have customers been using it. We went GA at the end of April, so we have had roughly about 4 or 5 months of being in GA. And some of the major use cases are human resources. Many customers have used Q Business to reduce the onboarding time for new employees. Second application, customer and IT support. A lot of the time, the support people have to answer a lot of queries and questions that they get from other people. And so we have reduced that time, what we call as the IT resolution time, by a lot. Then risk and compliance. Oftentimes you see in enterprise corpus, people are free to write write wiki pages, et cetera. We do have that in Amazon as well. But then sometimes you're trying to find what is the best coding practice that complies with my company's policies. At that point, you need information from a specific data source, which maybe the software engineering best practices team, the Center of Excellence team has said, yes, this is the record. At that time, we provide a feature called index boosting. So customers could boost the certain data source. So when such questions come, they can find answers that are truly compliant with their organization's practices. Then we have also helped with knowledge management. A lot of the times, there's knowledge spread across the company, and when people are trying to find information about the same things, you just index the data once, and that helps all the employees in the organization. So it reduces a lot of time to resolve issues, to find answers, et cetera. Here are some of our major customers that are using us already. Like you'll see, there's Smartsheet, and there's Bayer, and there's Accenture that was announced. There's Deloitte, et cetera. And here, we're extremely happy that we're able to help these customers boost their employee productivity. And we're super happy with our partnership with Anthropic and of multiple model providers, including our own Amazon model providers, and we are being powered by them. That's it for me, and now over to Scott. Thank you so much.
You can just stay out here. Thanks so much, Sai and Jack. We're going to have a fireside chat, so if you guys want to take a seat. Just before that, a few key takeaways from what the three of us talked about today. First of all, you saw the logos that Sai just pointed out there on the slide, the ones that I showed earlier. But not next year, not next quarter. It's happening now. Look at Perplexity, look at SAP, real companies across multiple verticals, real transformation that's happening immediately. Secondly, our best partners use this to enhance their teams. Lawyers that are now doing contract reviews in minutes. Developers that are coding so much faster than they used to be able to do. And service teams that are now solving issues first time. Human expertise with AI capabilities together. The opportunity is pretty clear, I think, from what we talked about today. The technology is proven. Amazon and Anthropic together. Your playbook starts today. Really excited to now sit down with Jack and Sai. I've got a few questions for both of you. We don't have the fire, but we'll make do. First of all, just want to talk about our overall collaboration together. How did it begin? What are the elements that you think have made this collaboration successful with Connect and Business?
Yeah, we can start with Connect. For us, it really came down to when we decided that we wanted to open up Q and Connect to customizations. We really had to select which model we wanted to use for that feature. So though in Connect and in Q, we select different LMs for different use cases, this was a very particular feature where we needed flexibility and ease of control for the user. So after reviewing a couple models and meeting the Anthropic team, we decided Claude V3, well V2 at the time, really had that flexibility we needed. And what made the engagement very helpful was just that open collaboration of discovering how to best use this technology that's really cutting edge as we go and learning from best practices shared across from the knowledge bank that Anthropic had.
That's great. How about you, Sai?
Yeah, I'd say for us, we've experimented with a lot of models, and then Q Business only went GA at April 30th this year. And so what we really liked is we were looking for the high accuracy with the lower latency, especially because we are super end user facing, and they're looking for answers across the entire enterprise corpus. And so that's when we went with some of our Claude models.
Thanks for sharing that. Looking ahead, what are some of the potential applications or innovations that get you really excited about this collaboration and what that looks like for your customers in even the 3 to 5 years ahead, which it seems crazy to think that far ahead with how fast this stuff is moving right now?
Yeah, I think it's the in terms of the collaboration, it's the unexpected capabilities that we don't know exist. Because even when we started with customizations, tools had not been released yet, Anthropic tools, and that really leveraged up how we can deliver next best actions. is that those kinds of like opening of new capabilities then allow for the streamlining of more complex issues. We do see that general evolution of LMs is going to help drive in the contact center and customer engagement a bit of a virtuous cycle where the more either complex issues you can have AI automate, it frees up human agents to handle more unique, complex issues that aren't repetitive. And eventually, if those become SOP and standardized, then they can tackle even more issues. And that sort of virtuous cycle of really improving that agent experience is something we're really excited to see with the advent of this technology.
Yeah, I think from a Q business standpoint, when I spoke about embedded images and tables, we did have initial challenges in just understanding the image. And when you have large tables, which are multiple, like huge Excel files, and I would say that's some place that Claude really helped us a lot to understand those. And looking ahead, I would say a lot in the reasoning space, because what our vision for Q Business is that we're able to connect a Q Business Assistant to multiple tools, be it a customer's own agents or agents that have been built in AWS or data sources, or like I just now spoke about PagerDuty Assist, but understanding what the user is trying to say with their natural language and then reasoning it, dynamically planning it, and then executing on that plan with the highest accuracy. So to identify which tool to go to, across which tools to go to even. I did touch upon it in the action space. We had a lot of investment in that space, and we're looking ahead for that investment in the next year or so.
Really exciting. I want to get to some customer examples and get like a little bit more specific here. Can you each walk us through like a specific use case within Q and Connect and Q Businesses respectively, where working with Claude has like significantly enhanced the capabilities for those customers?
Yeah, I would say for us, in Connect, one of the common use cases we've seen, it's industry agnostic. It just happens to be having new agents take contacts they've never experienced before. Because often in the contact center industry, there's super high attrition, up to 50% in like within 6 months, and you're constantly getting new agents on board who just have never been exposed to it before. And so with Claude's, the latency being so low, high accuracy, it's been able to really, been using that for customizations, it's been really good at giving the right guidance to these first-time agents who traditionally, they might just escalate to their manager because they don't know what to do. But now they've been able to actually solve issues they've never seen before, get more confidence at their job, and actually be more proficient quicker.
Yeah, I'd say for Q Business, we do have customers usually use Q Business, and because it is end user facing, the users are spread across the world. So there's a lot of varied language needs that Q Business needs to account for. And what we've observed with using the Claude models is that in very innovative ways, we are able to take answers to questions in local language and then respond with the answers in the local language. So this has been a game changing. One of our major customers, some of them use this. It's in a preview right now, and they are able to really unlock productivity for like people who are operating machinery in a manufacturing center. So those are the types of use cases we're after, and the language, the ability to understand, detect language, understand language, and then be able to respond in that language has been immensely helpful for us with Claude models.
That's great. All right, I want to focus on Q and Connect for just a second here, and then we'll move back to Q Business. So like, take us back when Q and Connect was starting. Like, what were the biggest challenges contact centers were trying to solve with you?
Yeah, it is going back to that agent attrition challenge,
Yeah.
and just how to guide agents, tell them what to do. Because often what happens is when they're in these situations, they have 5, 10 different tabs open and they're switching back and forth with no clear SOP. So we really wanted to let Q tell you the SOP, walk you through it. But to do that, we really needed ability to distill like what is the customer intent, what is the right recommendation. And that it really needs to be highly accurate because you don't want to deliver the wrong advice to a customer and then have your loyalty and trust just go down. So I think that was the main thing that when doing Q, and then getting that, again, the customizations really being key, because so much of the contact center is industry-based, use case-based, line of business-based. But that was really what we needed for that high accuracy, so they can get those new agents onboarded way faster.
And then what are the improvements that you're seeing in like resolution times now with like all these capabilities that Q and Connect has? Like, what are the results?
Yeah, for the results, we've been seeing 2 key metrics. One would be reduction in average handle time. Already, we've been seeing for customers up to 15% reduction, even in these first iteration of Q and Connect that just launched last year. But additionally, it's really that first contact resolution, that ability when the customer has an issue, they call in, get it solved then. So even for one customer where they saw their average handle time go up a little bit and they're like, what's going on? What's going on? They realized that their first call contact resolution dropped by 25% because all of these agents used to deflect the call to protect their HT. Realized, wait a second, I can solve the issue now. I'll just do it myself. So I think that was like the big learning we got is even if some of the efficiency metrics might vary, it's that customer satisfaction metric that has really been driven and improved.
When you dug deeper, you saw what was actually going on there, which was a really positive story. Looking ahead now, where do you see Claude fitting in and assisting with some more like complex customer challenges?
Yeah, for that, it's going to be going down into, you can kind of do it today. Can't disclose the full roadmap. This notion of being able to have multiple agents handle between different things and have them complete discrete tasks, and also knowing the sort of chain of when different tasks sequence up. We don't want to advertise that our customizations can support that now because there's a lot of extra heavy lifting to do it. But that's something we're really excited about because we know it's possible. We know the advancements of Claude are making the tool selection better. So that way, with the Claude customizations, you can select your own tools and really have good orchestration.
Agentic capabilities, exciting. Keep an eye out. Sai, moving to you on the Q Business side, can you share some specific examples about how employees are using Q Business in like really productive and interesting ways?
Yes. Yeah, so a fun fact for that is Amazon employees use Q Business. And so we use Q Business to find answers for our HR data, our stock vesting, our intranets, our wikis. So we are actively using Q Business. And so most of the employees, what we have seen early, they start with usually HR-related questions, the early part. Okay. But then eventually, then the next phase, usually when they're liking it, they go into more like ticket management. How many tickets are assigned to me? Like for example, some of our internal use cases even, and even external customers, they connected it to, CR, change request systems, right? And when that data is indexed, what is the status of this change request? Because in software development, you're usually looking for, has this been gone? Is it approved? Is it blocked, et cetera? So I would say a lot of employees are using Q Business internally and externally to quickly find answers. And we've barely just scratched the surface with actions. And we're actually excited because we had a major launch come in at reInvent. But that's something customers have been asking us for. So that's something we're looking out for, though.
And can you talk a little bit about how they are measuring, like benchmarking this? What's the ROI on this?
Yes. That's a very tough question, to be honest. So for example, when I even spoke about Q Business, it's like boost productivity, right? We've never really measured employee productivity very quantifiably. Like if you all think about it and just think about how much time it took to write something, we're all doing a guesstimate in our heads. Now, if you think about that across a plethora of tasks on day-to-day, monthly basis, so that's where organizations are finding it difficult to actually measure productivity. But each organization comes up with their metrics, and that's what they talk to us about, each of the customers. For us internally, we look at it as what's the time to resolution for a question the employee had. And the way we're measuring it is by when you use Q Business, you can have a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And if you give us a thumbs down, then there's a few options that you can choose. Was the answer not consistent or complete, or it took too long? And that's how we track it. So that's the way we're tracking our ROI right now and our key investment. But next year, we are investing more in understanding how do we think about productivity and how can we help customers think about productivity too. But
right, historically it's been really hard to measure.
It is extremely hard. And our customers have told us personally that they find it super hard as well. And that's where they're like, each of them has different metrics. So we track each of our customers on their metrics, and that's how when our customers have spoken with us. For example, I did a talk with Life360 on Monday, and they had their metrics. NFL did a talk with somebody else on Monday, and they had their own metrics, right? So they are different metrics, but overall, I would say it's the time to resolving tickets or resolving queries. The query could be a ticket, the query could be an answer from an employee, whatever be the query.
So we all know that companies can struggle with information silos, particularly large enterprise companies. How our Q business together with Claude, trying to break down some of these barriers and silos?
Yeah, I think that's a huge differentiator that we have in our platform that I also spoke about it in my talk. So most enterprise data is primarily unstructured. I think that's a big thing that when it's unstructured, it's very difficult to surf through documents, surf through PDFs, surf through wiki sites and get that answer out. Because when it's structured data, you would have observed that the business intelligence tools have solved and made it a little easier at least to get the answer, like via your data warehouse, et cetera. That is also challenging, and there's innovation there required, but unstructured is extremely difficult. So with Claude, what we're able to do is, and most times actually, to step back, this unstructured data has different data modalities. It'll have audio, video, it'll have image, it'll have tables, it'll have the table span pages. So it's not, there's no, people are super creative with when they create this unstructured data. So that when I spoke about the ingestion and the indexing layer, and the retrieval, that's where we have a lot of investment and a lot of innovation, science investment, and we work closely with your science teams to actually get the indexed, the vector embeddings, the semantic index, the contextual understanding, the metadata, just making that whole pipeline super intelligent, because once that is established, the foundation is super strong. And then the retrieval, the re-ranker, and all of that work much more seamlessly. I would say that is where our partnership with Anthropic, specifically with your science teams and how you're able to give us your insights and our science teams, that collaboration. And that's months and months and maybe years of work even. And so that's why people are able to build a Q Business Assistant in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, we've had to work on this really quickly together.
Very quick work there.
So I think we got time for one last question, and then all three of us will be hanging out in the lobby afterwards. So please come see us, come say hi. So last question today. Looking at your early adopters, how has Claude's role in Q Business evolved based on early customer feedback that you've had?
I think I would say since we launched Q Business, there's not been one customer conversation when the customers want more, and they want more yesterday.
Yep.
So I think as Claude models are becoming a lot more efficient and intelligent and more capable, I think we are able to leverage that, because then we don't need to build all of that separately. So we're able to leverage that and integrate it into our pipelines so that we're able to solve the customer problems much faster. So I'd say that's a lot of how our partnership with your teams has really helped us drive value much faster to our customers. And I'm looking forward to more of that next year. So, and he's on stage saying it with me, so.
We're really, really excited about where this is going together with both of you. So for next steps, for AI builders, contact center use cases, productivity use cases, come see us afterwards. We've got some QR codes here for all three of us, but please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're excited to build with you, Anthropic, Q and Connect, Q Business. And thanks everybody for coming out today and joining us. Thank you, Jack, and thank you, Sai, for joining me on stage today here.
Thanks a lot, Scott, for having us, and thank you all for listening in.